Hold on to your seats because today I've got some wild stories, starting with Nvidia's brand new GPU already dropping in price. Microsoft's about to make you buy new RAM, CPUs, and more. Graphics cards are being sold without GPUs in them, and the first new benchmarks on Nvidia's next GPU. Welcome everyone to Gamer Meld. Okay, it's news time, and first up for today, Nvidia's RTX 4070 Super has already been seen below MSRP. As you can see right here, it says in Poland, one of the largest PC retailers has lowered the price for the 4070 Super from 2,999 PLN to 2,849 PLN. That marks a 5% reduction in price. Now, that obviously isn't much, but don't forget that the 4070 Super was just released a couple days ago. So personally, I really think this shows that Nvidia is having a very hard time selling their GPUs, even their newest super cards. Don't forget that the 4070 Super is significantly faster than the regular 4070. Though of course, Nvidia is still selling their regular 4070, and personally, I definitely think that they should have just gotten rid of the regular 4070 and sold this one for that same price, though technically the regular one did have a price drop, and that is why it's cheaper. This is technically the MSRP of when the 4070 was released, but it's been a while since that release. So I think it's perfectly reasonable to sell the 4070 Super at the newer price, but Nvidia isn't, and it's not looking great. When we look at the listing, you can see it's a Gainward 4070 Super Ghost. And another interesting part about this is that the regular 4070 not too long ago was priced at 2,880 PLN. You can see right around September, so just a few months ago, and yet the new Super card is now priced lower. Time will tell if we see further price drops, but here's to hoping. And next up for today, we have a pretty wild story. As you can see right here, it says Microsoft is seemingly lining up a number of new minimum specification levels for AI PCs that it hasn't yet broadcast via official channels. It says, we've heard from our sources that AI PCs will move up the bar concerning minimum RAM configurations, and TrendForce has apparently heard the same, hearing a minimum of 16 gigabytes of memory for, once again, Windows AI PCs. But it doesn't stop there. Both Microsoft Source and TrendForce agree that they're also going to require at least 40 TOPS of compute power to make the grade for labeling as an AI PC. Now you might be thinking, okay, well that's just for an AI PC, and that is true, but the industry definitely thinks pretty much everything's going to be going that way. That's why they're getting all really excited about AMD's AI inclusion. And just to give you an idea of how big of a deal Microsoft expects this to be, they actually just added a new key to a standard Microsoft keyboard for the first time since 1994. And in this article in Tom's Hardware, you can see it says you might thank AI for raising the entry-level PC RAM quota, meaning they think that this is such a big deal that even entry-level PC makers from here on out are going to sell PCs with more RAM. So this is very much looking like it's going to be the new standard. And obviously that is good news for anyone hoping to buy a PC in the next year or two, given they don't just drastically raise prices or anything like that, to which I'll get to that in just a second. But obviously for anyone who doesn't reach these minimum specifications, that's not exactly good news. Especially, obviously a lot of people don't have 16 gigabytes of VRAM, but you can likely upgrade your system. The issue is going to be that 40 TOPS. When we move down here, you can see that they actually state that Intel's current Meteor Lake chips are said to reach 34 TOPS at best. So that's Intel's current gen Meteor Lake chips that won't be able to reach this minimum standard. TrendForce actually speculates that Lunar Lake will address this baseline underperformance for AI PCs. Intel itself has said that Lunar will have 3 times the AI performance of its predecessor, Meteor Lake. So next gen CPUs will apparently have enough, but that means current gen CPUs, if this is right, won't. Even AMD's Hawk Point only gets the 39 TOPS. Luckily, their 8000 series Strix Point is expected to be capable of 45 TOPS, but yeah, this is not looking good for pretty much anyone that owns a PC right now. And to make matters worse, it looks like DRAM and NAND prices are going to be going up this year. You can see that this also from TrendForce, they actually are seeing or expecting 13 to 18% in Q1 of 2024 in DRAM, and NAND flash is expected to go up 18 to 23%. This is overall average contract prices. So expect memory prices in general to go up this year. Now, with all of that said, yes, this is specifically just for AI PCs, but if what we're hearing from this, if all the hype isn't just hype, this very well could be a requirement for all PCs very soon. And next up, if you're planning on purchasing an RTX 4090 anytime soon, you may want to pay attention to this, because as you can see right here, it says if you're in the market for a secondhand RTX 4090, pay attention to who you're buying it from. According to reports popping up in Chinese language forums, including ChipHell and HKEPC, some buyers are paying for Nvidia's best gaming card only to receive it without a GPU or memory, meaning it's just the shroud, it's just a husk of a GPU. As for why it's specifically the 4090 and it's in China, it almost certainly has to do with the ban that the US put on that card for shipment to China. And if you remember not too long ago, I actually covered a story about companies taking 4090s, pulling them apart, and then putting them in blower cards to sell as AI GPUs. And this is what I think is a really big reason for this, and it's why it may end up being a really big story. As you can see down here, a PC Gamer says, it looks like conditions are ripe for scumbag scammers. Why not take the GPU out of what is ostensibly a $1,599 graphics card and pop it into an L40 style PCB with a blower fan and make some serious money? Well, it's easier said than done, and it wouldn't be worth it for a few cards. But for 100,000 cards, yeah, that would be worth it. So what this means is that some companies could be taking the actual GPU inside of the 4090, likely putting them in here, and then selling that shroud as a 4090. Now, I haven't heard about anything like this coming to the US, but I wouldn't be surprised if at least at some point it did happen. For all we know, they could start shipping these back to the US and trying to sell them as 4090s here. So definitely make sure you're buying your GPUs from a reputable retailer. And lastly for today, we have the first new benchmarks for Nvidia's upcoming 4070 Ti Super GPU. But before I get to that, if you love getting benchmarks, performance, things like that from GPUs, CPUs, all that good stuff before anyone else, make sure you subscribe to GamerMeld. Anyway, as you can see down here, the GPU was found in OpenCL benchmarks for Geekbench 6 as well as Vulkan. And what's interesting about these benchmarks is that, for one, the 4070 Ti Super in OpenCL is actually getting very close to the regular 4080. It got 229,043 versus 240,292. Sure, it's still a little ways off, but not by much. And in fact, one of these Vulkan scores, you can see right here that the 4070 Ti Super actually crushed the 4080. We're talking 208,650 versus 229,160. Now, there is another 4070 Ti Super that is lower, so it's more or less assumed that this is an overclocked version of the card, but still, it getting this close and even being capable of beating the 4080 is still fairly impressive. So we really should be able to get a ton more performance out of these cards, but at relatively the same price. Not too bad if you ask me, though obviously the original pricing was pretty wild over the top anyway, but still, more performance at the same cost is a win. So while that does it for today, what do you think about Microsoft requiring these new specs? Is it just good for the industry because it's going to push minimum specs up, or does it kind of suck because this means you have to upgrade? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you liked the video, make sure to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. And as always, have a great day.